Hey there neighbors, Kevin here with eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the B&W ball and safety chain kit for OEM underbed gooseneck hitches here on our 2023 Ford F-250. If you're looking for the most dependable, easy to use, and nicest looking option out there on the market for your gooseneck hitch inside of your OEM puck system, then look no further than the B&W. B&W is well known within the towing industry and is one of the top premier options that you can go with in most cases, and they honestly don't really have a bad price point for most of the equipment that they sell if you really kind of sit there and compare it with some of the other brands out there. So you're really getting a lot of bang for your buck, and you know that you're going to have a nice American-made, high-quality product. Now when it's time to pop all this out so that you can actually use your bed, like you can see our neighbor today has a bunch of wood scraps, probably was hauling some lumber, some firewood, and probably wanted a nice clean bed so that way he could fill it all the way up and really haul as much as he wanted to. So when it's time to do that, B&W's got you covered with a nice carrying case. It's going to prevent you from getting any grease off of the ball onto your hand because it's got a nice lever right here, and that is lever activated. So you can kind of see this pushes out as I do that. This latch is going to have a locking position up at the top, so we're in our uncoupled position. If I had that down, it'll lock into the coupled position. So we'll pop that right on out. That can drop right into our storage case without having to touch any of that messy grease. For our safety chain loops, we'll lift up on the sides. We'll twist it, pull it back out. We can put that back, pop that back down, and that's going to drop right back into our carrying case. Do the same thing with the other one real quick. Close this up. And now, instead of having a messy, greasy ball, we just have this little case that we can throw under the back seat, or if we really have the space in our bed, we could leave it back here and not have to worry about it really rolling around and damaging anything else or getting damaged itself. So another big feature here that no one else really does is with this handle. So not only is it easy for getting the ball in and out, but the big difference here is a lot of other manufacturers either have a post that you would run through in the bottom through the wheel well, or they're going to have that latch be integrated right into the head of the ball, which I've seen fail too many times, and then now your gooseneck ball is locked in place. You're going to be sitting there fighting to get it back out of the gooseneck hitch. It's just, honestly, there's a lot of room for error when it comes to this style latch, just because if you set the gooseneck coupler down the wrong way, maybe you're not exactly lined up when you go to couple and you hit that latch, maybe you hit it one time, two times, and it's fine, and then that third time you bust it, and then now you can't undo the latch, and it's just a much larger headache for something so simple. So this handle being completely separate and off to the side away from anything that could potentially hit it is really going to make the bigger difference here and make sure that your gooseneck ball is going to live for the life of this truck, plus maybe the next one that you buy later on. And also included in your kit is going to be a replacement cap for the gooseneck hitch center here in our puck system. This one's a little bit more rubbery, so it's a little bit easier to pop in and out because it's a little bit flexible versus the hard plastic. A lot of time you got to use a screwdriver to kind of pop that out. So if you are going to be using your gooseneck ball quite often and you don't want to leave it in here, maybe you're swapping it right back into the case as soon as you're done, popping in the little B&W puck cover is going to make it a nice, easier transition. In terms of capacity, the gooseneck ball is going to come with a 30,000 pound gross towing weight capacity, so that's that pulling force from the truck to the trailer. And then for the vertical load limit, so that's the pin weight of the trailer actually pressing down, that's going to be 7,500 pounds. Now that does not mean that your truck can handle that, so just make sure that you double check your owner's manual and determine exactly what the truck is capable of towing, and make sure you stay within those capacities. Now for our safety chain loops, I've got a clevis here, and we can give you a little bit of a look at how this is going to attach. So you can get a little bit of a bind up here with some smaller clevis. This one is on the lower end of the higher capacity clevis style hooks. Usually I'm using this for like a trailer hitch. So this is something where the larger hooks probably would fit a little bit nicer, but you can still easily latch into place and know that you're secure with your gooseneck trailer. And one thing I've liked about these is that I've tried out a bunch of different brands when it comes to the safety chain loops, and for some reason a lot of them really just don't have a great mechanism for dropping in and popping back out. This one just kind of glides in and out though without any resistance, which is nice, so that way I don't have to sit there and fight this just to get it put in place. Now with any gooseneck hitch, maintenance is going to be the key to making sure that you're really getting the most out of your product. And then with this, you're going to be wanting to use some white lithium grease on the ball itself, making sure that that's going to help protect from any kind of scratching and make the coupling and uncoupling a little bit easier. Because a lot of the time, if you let that sit out in the rain, it's going to sit there and start to rust, especially on the gooseneck coupler, and then it's not going to want to come off of the gooseneck ball. It also wouldn't hurt to grease up the actual connection point with our puck system as well, just to make sure that that can come in and out. And you want to make sure that you're using a grease that isn't going to attract any debris. As you can see, there's debris all over this. Any real use of your truck like that, you're going to have debris just blowing in and out of the bed. So using a white lithium grease is going to make this to where you don't have all of that sticking to it, making this a big mess and potentially grinding up and corroding more inside of our coupler and on our ball or our trailer coupler for our gooseneck hitch. So the other thing to think about here is our turning clearance. With this not being an 8-foot bed, it is going to be harder to make that 90-degree turn. Now typically with a gooseneck trailer, you just have that really skinny nose that's reaching over into the bed, and that you typically aren't going to have turning clearance issues with. But in the case of a fifth wheel where you've swapped over your pin box to a fifth wheel to gooseneck pin box, that's where you could really run into some clearance issues. So it is important to get some measurements and figure out exactly what your turning clearance is. If you need to go with something that's going to give you an offset, Kurt and Gen Y have options for you as well that will match up with your puck system, and they'll give you either a 4 or a 5-inch offset, so that way you can increase your turning clearance and make those tight turns, so that way when you're backing into your trailer into your camping spot, you don't have to worry about the nose of the trailer contacting the cab of the truck. Well, that's going to do it for our look at the B&W Gooseneck Ball and Safety Chain Kit for OEM underbed gooseneck hitches here on our 2023 Ford F-250. My name's Kevin. If you still have some questions about what's going to be the right gooseneck and safety chain kit for your OEM puck system in your F-250, please feel free to reach out to us via our Ask the Experts link, a comment on this video, or a phone call to our customer service department. We'd be happy to help you out on your journey.